Hello and welcome to my video series C# for RPA developers. This video will not be a lecture video, instead it will be a case study video. We are going to put what we have learned so far into practice. I am planning on making videos like this in between lecture videos. In our use case, we have a collection of sentences structured in a constant format, just like we did in our string.format example. We are going to extract some certain values that are in between constantly repeating keywords. Actually, we are going to do the opposite of what we did in the string.format example. Here is our collection with the values. We are going to extract information like customer name, customer number, branch name, and amount, and we are going to write these values into the respective columns in our collection. Here are some pointers for you. Our sentences start with some words, and then there is a keyword in each sentence that I call a starter word. You can see what I mean in this diagram. I am certain that the value I'm looking for always comes after this starter word in my sentence. And we have some keywords that I call the end word, and again I am certain that the value I'm looking for always right before this keyword in a sentence. In order to get the value I want, I'm going to calculate some positions in my sentence. In this diagram, point A is the starting index of my starter word, and I can easily find it with index of method. The point B, which is the starting position of the value I want, can be easily found by adding the length of my starter word to the index of my starter word. The point C, which is the ending position of the value I want, can be easily found by getting the index of my end word. I know from the previous video that I can get a piece of string from a larger string by using the substring method. I need to put the starting index and the length arguments into my substring method to get what I'm looking for. I already know how can I find the starting position of my value. I can easily calculate the length I'm going to put into my substring method by subtracting the point B from point C. Right now I want you to pause the video and download my blank object and try to write the necessary code stages yourself. After that you can continue the video to see the solution. Moving on with our solution, I'm going to drag and drop a code stage and get started. In order to see it more clearly, I'm going to follow a step-by-step approach and firstly write a code stage that extracts the name of our customer. I'm creating my input and output arguments, and my input argument will take in the sentence on the iterating row, and my output argument will assign the result into the name surname column in my collection. Firstly, I want to create my start word and end word string variables and give their values by looking at my sentences. Notice that the name and surname value is always in between the words customer with the name and the customer number. Now I want to find the starting index of my start word, and I can easily find it with the index of method. And I assign this value to my start word integer variable. Next, I need to find the starting index of my value to be extracted. I can easily find it by adding the length of my start word to the starting index of my start word, and I assign its value to my start of my value integer variable. Next up, I need to find the starting index of my end word, which is also the ending index of the value that I'm going to extract. I know the necessary indexes right now. Only thing left is to call my substring method by giving the start of my value integer variable as starting index and giving the difference between the start of end word and start of my value indexes as length. Let's compile and run our code stage and see that it works correctly and it extracted the name values into the respective column in my collection. I still need to find the other values and I can simply copy and paste my code stage and change the start word and end word variables accordingly. Let me do that for the customer number value in a different code stage. When I compile and run my code stages, I can see that the customer number column is also written correctly. At this point, I realized I should add an additional trim method to trim off unnecessary white spaces in my values. We can follow the same process for the other columns I need to extract. We kept our start and end word keywords in respective string variables inside our code stages. Now I want to turn them into separate input variables in my code stages. Let me duplicate my solution page and make the update to my code stages. That way I don't have to compile a code stage just to change a keyword and make my code stages more reusable. I am simply deleting the lines where I initialize my start word and end word string variables and carry them to the input arguments of my code stage. When I compile and run my code stages, I can see that I get the same correct results. In the rest of the video, I am going to demonstrate two cool features of the code stages. Don't try to understand the remaining part of the video fully because we haven't covered some parts of the curriculum. I wanted to show this because I want you to feel curious about what's coming up in the following videos. Remember how we said that we cannot name two code stages in an object with the same name? One reason you can't do that is that you can actually call a code stage somewhere in your object by its name within another code stage. Let's demonstrate this. I am going to copy one of my latest code stages into a new page which is completely irrelevant to my original action page. I am pasting this code stage here and I want to underline that my code stage is not even connected to a flow. I am going to name this code stage extract my value. And I'm going back to my solution alternative 2 page and make some changes. I will use one code stage here and this code stage will call my other code stage 4 times to extract 4 columns in one go. Let me configure a single input argument which will take in my sentence value in my collection. And my output arguments will assign the extracted values into the respective columns. Notice that the code stage I will call has 3 inputs and 1 output, and the order of these arguments are important. I basically copied the name of my code stage and wrote it into my code stage that will actually work within my flow. And I need to give in the arguments parallel to the code stage that I'm calling from the other page. Blue Prism treats code stages in business objects like void methods with multiple input and output arguments. Hopefully we will cover these in the upcoming videos. Right now I am inserting the necessary start words and end words into my code stage by checking the sentences. When I compile and run my code stage, we can see that the code stage I ran called another code stage which is in a different page in my object. This is important because now if I wanted to change something in my calculation, I can just change one code stage and the change will be reflected to my process just like that. In alternative one, we copied and pasted the same code stage 4 times, and in that case, I need to make changes to all 4 code stages separately. And you can actually use this approach to a block of code that will be used many times in an object. You can manage changes and fixes from a single point and the solution will be reflected to everywhere in one intervention. Now you can see that the order of arguments are parallel between the way I called them and the arguments of the code stage that's in my irrelevant page. Another way to do this is using the global code in our initialize page. This is literally my favorite thing about code stages and Blue Prism objects. Suppose that I want to write a block of code in my object which I will call throughout my object numerous times, and I don't want to see code stages lying about untidy in different pages in my object. Global code allows me to do this. This part is a little advanced, so don't worry about details. We will go into detail in a future video. Consider this as a teaser. Let me create a new page and name it Solution Alternative 3. I basically turned my previously called code stage into a static string method in my global code. This method will return a string value, hence the string keyword before the method's name, and we will write return as the last line of our method. Going back to my page of interest, I will do the same thing I did before and use a code stage to call my method in the global code 4 times to extract all 4 information. When we compile and run our code stage, we can see that the same correct results are achieved. That's it for today's video. I hope you learned something new today. If you have any questions, just email me or write down in the comments. I will upload the object I developed in this video to my GitHub too. Until next time, happy automating.